Well, you've also gone on social media to give a tiny bit of what you thought this was about. But again, too little, too late, but finally it made the deadline. Let us in on what you think about the list so far of 28 nominees.
Thank you for having me in your program. Well, when President Ahmed Bola Tinubu took over office, there appeared to be a lot of expectations, great expectations from Nigerians, based on what he pledged and what he promised. And the expectations has it that there is going to be a clean break from the past, and that people who will make up his team will be men whose assets is simply competence. But from the list we have seen, and from the moment it has taken the government to come out with the list, it appears to be he was in a sort of a dilemma for the fact that he had the plans of having competent men in office, and at the same time he was compelled to look at the fact that there were people who, in quote, supported him to be in office. Now, in all honesty, I don't know all of those who were mentioned, but from my own assessment is that the list is more of an attempt to please or appease a certain political cluster, or to favor people for simply have worked for him in office rather than their own capacity and competence. I can vouch for some of them. For example, the nominee from Bauchi State, Professor Pati, was a man who was capable, who has proven himself over the years to have excelled in the areas of health. But with the nomination which you have seen, the one that represented Kaduna State National Rufai, is a tragedy. That such a man is given an opportunity again to serve this country with all that he has done and all that he has said in office. And I don't think, if President Tinubu mean well, it is not the best time to please and appease from our governors. It's the best time to appease the Nigerians and to bring in competent hands that will deliver. As far as I'm concerned, that list, to some large extent, is a big disappointment. It is none that has been able to meet the expectation of taking the time which it has taken for those names to come out. So I think the best thing for the president to do at this time, he should know that the 8 years of this last administration was a complete waste, and that this is an opportunity for him to prove that he has the vision, the competence and the capacity to lead this country to a higher level than the way he had met it. But with the kind of people whom he has now brought in close to him, I think there is going to be a problem. For what I know is that there are people who were brought in because they betrayed their party and betrayed their principle, and now this is the time to compensate them. And that should not be with a serious national position like this. And I thought the president, being a man that has a history of bringing the best to preside over affairs of governance, as he was able to do in Lagos State, many people were expecting that that should be the case in the country, but to a large extent it is not.
If you allow me, you have also tweeted specifically, quote, "The president appointed people who betrayed others and hoping that they will be faithful, loyal and honest to him, and that they will serve Nigeria with all their strength." So looking at the list categorically speaking, it's a list of well-known Nigerians. So there's hardly anyone who's not been tried before. So what do you mean when you talk about betrayed others?
Well, I've seen people who are not from his own political party, but they have always been applauded and praised for betraying their party, and now their 30 pieces of silver is the appointment they have in the office of the ministerial office. Specifically, I'm more concerned about the one that comes from Kaduna State. Nasiru El-Rufai has been a man who has served Obasanjo and stabbed him in the back. He also was the one who claimed to be a loyal to Buhari and served him when he was out of office. I believe that that will also happen to Tinubu when things go the other way. And secondly, bringing such a person into government, what I know that he is going to be a seed of discord between the president and the vice president. He's also going to plant a seed of discord between the president and cabinet members. He's also going to be the source of crisis between the president and people who are outside his cabinet. And this should be marked, this should be bookmarked, this should be kept. It is going to happen. So for also a person who has presided over the affairs of Kaduna State with such bigotry, religious iniquity and injustice against people who are not from his faith, I don't think that person deserves a place in anywhere in government in Nigeria. That is for that. And generally, I will say that as far as the president is concerned, when it comes to the issue of getting things right in Nigeria, and he must ensure that whoever is going to be there, first of all, has the vision, the capacity, the competence, and the general acceptability on the side of Nigerians. And this is a key, knowing where we come from. We come from a past where the president has appointed people who served for 8 years and delivered nothing, and he was unable to remove them because he felt they should be appeased because they supported him in office. And I think if Tinubu tried to lay the foundation of his government on this thinking, certainly it's going to fail like the way Buhari failed.
You know, speaking of a man many would say well known to you and by you, and also from your home state of Kaduna, and you're already giving some kind of doomsday prediction that he would be a cog in the wheel of progress of the Tinubu administration. Specifically, some will say this is about some bad blood you've had, politically speaking, with the former governor of your state.
Well, he has always spoken bad about me, and I also speak my own mind about him. But I have my own very proofs. Was he not a minister under Obasanjo administration? What happened between Obasanjo and Atiku? Was he not a minister at that very time? What happened? So it's going to be the same thing. If you see any discord between President Tinubu and Shetima, it's going to be the same person that will plan that discord. If you see any discord between the president and his members of the cabinet, it's going to be the same person. If you see any discord between the president and the state governors, he's still going to be the same person. He has that history and that track record. And I'm saying this is not a prophecy, but it's a proven fact that has happened. So, and a leopard never changes his skin. So for that, I'm saying they have brought in a serpent in their government, and they are going to pay a price for it. He has no permanent loyalty. He is a man who, fair weather person who is going to be with you. The same person who has sung the praises of Obasanjo. When Obasanjo was out of power, he turned against him. The same person who for 8 years has been singing the praises of Buhari. The moment Buhari was out of power, he simply abandoned him. So it's going to happen with Tinubu. But I know that as far as President Tinubu is concerned, he has been an old horse in the struggle and been in trenches. Perhaps it's going to be his own time to have his own share of the venom of the same person I'm talking about. So I'm not talking about him because of what is happening between me and him over the years, but I have my proven facts, and they will come to see. He is not going to, whatever ministry you kept him, is not going to stay there. He's going to prognose into the activities of all others and also try to get the ears of the president and sow the seed of discord. If you see any problem between Kashmir Shettima and Tinubu, it's going to be the same person that will plant it. And mark this word, if you see any problem between Tinubu and any other person in the cabinet, it's going to be the same person. He has that history. So I am not saying it because of my own view, but the history has always been there for anybody to see.
But again, you also said that the list is also made up of some people who are not members of the president's political party.
Yes, of course. The governor of Rivers State is not a member of the political party, but he is compensated for supporting Tinubu to office. I don't have any problem with that. I think that is his own idea. But what I believe is that it's like marrying a woman who has been unfaithful to someone, hoping that she's going to be faithful to you. So if you are bringing someone who has betrayed another person, hoping that he's going to be faithful, loyal, and honest to you, as our national pledge says, and also is going to serve the country with all his strength, well, all we can say is to conclude and say, so help you God. But as far as I'm concerned, I think Tinubu will have done better than the list which he is portrayed. But for the fact that ministerial appointment is not permanent for 8 years or 4 years, I believe that the colors of those whom he has now enlisted as his ministers is going to be out, and then he will have a decision on what to do as far as they are concerned.
10th Assembly to do from Monday as they, embark on screening.
Well, I don't expect them to do anything differently. The ruling party dominates the National Assembly, and I don't think they can disqualify any person. So far, they are going to present themselves for screening, and from the indications I've seen, many of them are going to scale through, except if there are security reports that are attached to their own CV that says otherwise. But in all honesty, I believe that is what's going to happen. But it is also the time for the opposition members, the PDP, the Labour Party, and APGA, to do the needful to ensure that those people who are going to appear before them are grilled. And for the fact that challenges are things that we face as a country today, if you're going to be a minister of housing, you should convince the National Assembly that you are experienced in that field. It's going to be the Minister of Power, Minister of Aviation, Minister of Works. There should be specific question for which you're going to convince the legislators that you are capable of holding such positions. It's very necessary.